Triple H's first ever booked Royal Rumble match is in the books, and I can tell you that I enjoyed this Rumble so much better than last year's.
Hey everybody, SonGoshuaku here!
We kick things off with the return of Pat McAfee, who was a welcome addition to the commentary because the commentary on this entire show was great. But the event starts off, to my surprise, with the Men's Royal Rumble match, which automatically told me that something's going down in the main event, and most likely it's going to be Roman and KO. So here's some of the standout moments that we got from this match. Gunther and Sheamus both start off at numbers 1 and 2 respectively. And then from there, Drew McIntyre, and hey, all three of these guys put in an incredible performance. They were showing their gas tanks, showing they were the Iron Man of this match, and also props out to Johnny Gargano. He was someone who actually put in quite a bit of effort as well, so definitely all four of those guys look strong. Now, from there, we had Gunther, who particularly actually broke the record for the longest Royal Rumble appearance in history, coming in at 70 minutes, way outdoing Rey Mysterio's. Some of the other things, oh my gosh, my boy Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston, not only last year, but this year, apparently had botched his spot where he was supposed to make the huge save as he's done many years. As someone who enjoys Kofi Kingston's work, it is unfortunate to see that happen. I guess he was supposed to land on the chair, but then, Xavier Woods is trying to keep it steady, but then the whole chair just basically exploded from underneath him, and man, Kofi landed right on his feet. So unfortunately, yeah, hopefully Kofi's able to make a big comeback next year. Speaking of unfortunate things, I was surprised to see, of all people, Karrion Kross eliminated so quickly. Not only did he lose to Rey Mysterio back on SmackDown the night before, but he gets eliminated quick. I thought Triple H would want to go ahead and give Kross this big showcase like he did Gunther in this match, so I was shocked by that. Speaking of Rey Mysterio, he ended up not coming out at all, so we kind of figured, yeah, Dominic's gonna be the one that ends up basically taking him out, which is what we saw later on as Dominic came out with his father's mask on. So things really picked up at number 12 when the Beast Brock Lesnar came out and just started cleaning house with everyone. And then after that, number 13, I believe, was Bobby the Almighty Lashley, who made short work of Brock Lesnar. So it was like just, what was it, about 5-6 years ago in 2017 when you had Bill Goldberg make short work of Brock Lesnar, but the crowd there in San Antonio was going crazy, chanting Bobby, Bobby. I mean, it just made Bobby look like a beast. Brock Lesnar dealt with so quickly, and I think another stat or record that was broken by Brock Lesnar is since he first competed in the Royal Rumble match in 2003, onwards right now to 2023, he has had the most single eliminations over the span of his entire career for the Royal Rumble, so that was cool to see. Probably most likely because he eliminated so many people back in the 2020 Royal Rumble 3 years ago. But yeah, Brock Lesnar, he just went on a tear with WWE officials and all that stuff with the announce table because he was livid. So furthermore direction as we build towards the final trilogy match between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. But yeah, I really loved how Bobby Lashley was utilized here. Now, something that I really appreciated about this Royal Rumble and most Royal Rumbles in general is that there was a lot of multiple stories playing out, whether it was Priest basically joining up with Dominic and Finn Balor, basically running roughshod as the Judgment Day, working as a cohesive unit, because I really love when teams work together until the end, just like Legacy in the 2009 Royal Rumble. Never been a fan of let's eliminate everybody and go at it. No, why? Why wouldn't we want to just team up basically until the very end and let it come down to all of us? And another thing that I really enjoyed, we had Gunther and Sheamus rekindling their rivalry throughout this entire match. So that was great to see. And you saw, like I said, this is played out a lot basically with the Judgment Day, because when Edge came out, he came out with fury and just viciousness, and basically used that to basically eliminate most of Judgment Day, but Dominic ended up eliminating Edge. And there was even a cool moment where Edge was just like a madman, raced him all the way back up that long aisleway, and he's basically taking it to Priest, taking it to Finn Balor, and then out of nowhere from behind, Rhea Ripley comes out. But then out from behind her comes the returning Beth Phoenix. Shout out to her for selling almost 2-3 months or however long it was since Survivor Series, the Concerto, and she gave Rhea a massive spear right there onto the padded concrete. So that was a really cool moment. Now, one of the few surprises that we actually did get was Booker T, who was a Texas native. So he got a huge ovation, came out and did all his signature moves, did the bookend, and even hit the Spinaroonie, and then boom, Gunther threw him right out the ring. But that was really cool. Booker T looking in phenomenal shape for his age. What is he, like in his mid to late 50s? Man, there you go. Take good care of yourself out there, and you too can look good when you're at that age. One of the things that I want to also mention, that when it came down to Edge's elimination, that even though Priest and Finn Balor were pulling him over the ropes, it was Dominic who did most of the work inside the ring. And I like that, because I'm not a fan of when you have someone who's illegally not in the Rumble, eliminating a legal competitor. Example would be 2002 when Maven eliminated The Undertaker, and Undertaker was allowed to come right back in and eliminate Maven. Or in the 2011 Rumble when John Cena was a competitor, yet The Miz, who was not even in the Rumble match at all because he was the champion at the time, got in there and eliminated Cena, and it's just okay to let that fly. Yeah, never been a fan of that type of elimination in the Royal Rumble, but here it's fine since Dominic was still in the match. Now, when we got to number 29, here comes Logan Paul, recovered from his MCL injury, and this basically means that Cody Rhodes was going to be number 30. So no Stone Cold Steve Austin, no Rock, and no Sami Zayn. I kind of figured Sami Zayn might not be in the Rumble match given all the attention being put to him towards the main event, but also with Rock and Austin not being in there, not necessarily a bad thing, because one of the best things that I love about this Royal Rumble was that Triple H basically highlighted the current talent, and that was something that I enjoyed, because hey, we can't keep focusing on a lot of the older stars. As great as they were, you have to create new stars and move forward in the future, and I love that Triple H did that, not just on this show, but as well as Raw 30. Now, it was funny seeing all this talent gather up and jump Logan Paul in the middle of the ring, seeing he was like the outsider. And speaking of Logan Paul, him and Ricochet had this spot that was incredible. Now, anyone who knows me when it comes to these wrestling reviews, I prefer psychology a lot, and I prefer that matches in spots have psychology in it. But hey, sometimes you just gotta sit back as a wrestling fan and be like, that was cool, and cool this was. So you've got Paul on one end of the ring, and you've got Ricochet on the other end of the ring, and they're like, you want to do this? Like, let's go. So they both jump on both sides of the ring from the ropes and jump up into the air, midair. Just look like something cool. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, so you know how the characters look in Dragon Ball when they're flying towards each other. They go basically and collide right in the middle of the ring and fall to the ground. People come unglued out of their seats. Even I was like, whoa. Like, it just looked cool. The visual of seeing two humans fly through the air and collide, basically trying to one-up each other, was a really cool visual, and definitely a very good spot that we will remember for years to come. That might have been one of the biggest spots in Rumble history. So the final four come down to Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, and Gunther. And now I want to give praise to Drew McIntyre and Sheamus's booking in this, because the former Banger Bros basically worked together as a tag team throughout the whole match, waiting for it to come down to them. I love this psychology, and this was once again another great storytelling detail in this match. And another story revisited during this Final Four confrontation, as Cody and Seth both went at it. Basically, if we all remember, Cody was getting further damage to his pec by Seth Rollins after that classic Hell in a Cell match in the night after. Now, after that, it was surprising that of all people, Logan Paul Paul was the one who eliminated Seth Rollins, and he even had that look like, I can't believe I just got basically eliminated by Logan Paul. So it looks like that's the direction of where they're going to go for WrestleMania. Logan versus Seth Rollins, and eventually Logan Paul is eliminated. And shout out to Logan Paul. Before getting eliminated by Cody, he took some massive chops by Gunther. That tells you just his dedication to the wrestling business. And in the final two, we get what I am going to honestly say, I gotta put it up there as one of the all-time great final twos when it comes to the Royal Rumble. I'm talking 2007, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, or 2012, Chris Jericho versus Sheamus. Those were two very lengthy, epic final two confrontations in the Royal Rumble match, and that's exactly what we got here. A little mini match between Cody Rhodes and Gunther, and man, they went at it, giving us a great preview of what it would be like if these two clash one-on-one. But in the end, after a lengthy battle, and man, Gunther, like I said, this guy just was a cardio machine, had an unlimited gas tank, and Cody Rhodes doing everything at number 30, even though he was the fresher man, trying to survive Gunther. And eventually he does hit the crossroads and throws Gunther out, and the American Nightmare takes his rightful place at WrestleMania 39 to challenge the undisputed champion. I thought this was incredible in terms of the in-ring action. This was really good. So much better than last year's Royal Rumble, if you all remember. I think Shane McMahon was the one who booked a lot of that match, and it was all organized from what we heard, and it was so bad that even Vince basically had to get rid of him from what the reports say. But this year felt very organized. It felt like it was very well thought out, and like I said, it highlighted a lot of the current talent, and that's so much needed in terms of moving the company forward. So definitely, hands down, this probably was my favorite of the two Royal Rumble matches. And for anyone out there who thought Cody Rhodes was going to get buried because Triple H is now the head of creative, hey, I knew it wasn't going to go down that way. Yeah, Cody Rhodes back in AEW did take a sledgehammer and smash a makeup throne of Triple H's King of Kings persona. But look at what Cody did in that last performance he was in, wrestling a whole main event match with a torn pec. Triple H, more than anyone, knows what it's like to work through an injury. Look at both quads being torn. Look at how he himself back in 2018 had that same very injury as Cody did. And you knew Triple H had a lot of respect for that guy, knowing they can depend on him for a big main event featured match at WrestleMania. Next up, we had Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in a Naomi's entrance match, aka Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. So I say that because that's what they did. They took Naomi's entrance sliding and basically put it over Bray Wyatt in LA Knight's match with all these neon colors, and they had glow in the dark. The match was okay in terms of action. There was a cool spot where Bray Wyatt put LA Knight through a table and all this green glow stuff went flying everywhere. But overall, Bray Wyatt made short work of LA Knight and pinned him 1, 2, 3. Then he put on a different mask, which I thought it was supposed to be some sort of version of the Fiend, and this sent LA Knight running into the audience to this one platform, and Bray laid LA Knight out on top of that platform, and then we look up, there's Uncle Howdy, who then jumps up and does some sort of twisting elbow drop, and from at least the way it looked on camera, he missed LA Knight and instead went straight through the platform. But because LA Knight was on that platform, LA Knight ended up going underneath right after Uncle Howdy broke through it. So from there, fire comes up and we get this cool visual. Hey, visually it looked cool, and I am all for the WWE doing new things, so I can't really rag on this too much, but yeah, this didn't do much favors at all for a talent such as LA Knight, and it's going to be interesting because you just kind of wonder, where is the Bray Wyatt story going? We saw some of the Firefly Funhouse characters at the end of the segment, but yeah, I'm just curious where this whole story is going. However, I will say, thankfully, it didn't end up being what I joked to my friends about it being, which was I thought they were going to take a play out of the Mimosa match that Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho had in AEW. It was going to be the same thing, except all the kiddie pools around the ringside would be filled with pitch black Mountain Dew, and the first person who throws them over the rope into the pitch black Mountain Dew, that person ends up winning. So thankfully it wasn't that. Next up, up, we had Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss for the WWE Royal Women's Championship. Now, I'm a big fan of Bianca Belair, and I'm also a fan of Alexa Bliss, but I don't know, I just feel maybe their in-ring chemistry just really isn't all that strong in comparison to other opponents they've had. Like, look at the matches Bayley and Becky had with Bianca, and Alexa Bliss, once again, she's had some memorable matches as well, but I don't know, the match was okay. It wasn't bad, but it was just okay. There's a certain type of intensity I think that it lagged. Even the crowd wasn't into it, and honestly, this match wasn't really that much better than their Raw match, which did have that cool Scary Movies 3 spot, and I'm a big fan of the Scary Movies franchise, so that was cool to see. But overall, this was pretty standard stuff, and of course, in the end, Bianca Belair hits the KOD for the 1-2-3 and retains the championship, that just as I think most of us predicted it would. And at the end, we have this video package of Uncle Howdy playing to Alexa Bliss, showing her old clips of herself when she was in her Firefly Funhouse persona. So once again, not sure where this is going. It's been going on for a long time, and I think we all love long tour story building, but at some point you kind of got to get to the point. So it's kind of like, where's this going? Is she joining back up with Bray Wyatt? Is she not joining back with Bray Wyatt? So yeah, I think at this point, a lot of us fans just want to know, where is it going? Next up, the Women's Royal Rumble match. Alright, so things starts off with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and both these women had a tremendous performance. They went the distance, showing their gas tank, showing that they got a whole built-in cardio machine within them, so that was really great. It was also really cool to see that Emma was participating in this, as Michael Cole on commentary had mentioned that right when Emma was released from WWE, it was just a few months afterwards that they had started the Women's Royal Rumble. And also, shout out to Rhea, once again, attention to detail for the story. She came out favoring her ribs, basically showing that the effect of what Beth Phoenix's spear was still having an effect on her. So that was really good storytelling. And now as we go into some of the more noteworthy things about this match, damage control throughout the entire match. They worked tremendously as a 3-woman team, dominating all the other competitors. And as I stated in the Men's Royal Rumble, I love when the teams and the factions work together throughout the entire match until the end. Another active story that we had playing out throughout this match was Natalya returning, seeking revenge against Shayna Baszler, who in a shoot stance accidentally broke her nose, but it was obviously worked into the storyline, so that was really good. Once again, love these attentions to details. One of the biggest pops of the night we got was Becky Lynch coming out at number 15, and she just went to town on all 3 members of Damage Control. And we also got the return of Asuka, who also came out to one of the hugest ovations in this entire match. And she came out with a different mask on. And when she took the mask off, there you see it. Her hair was cut back to the way it used to be before WWE, and she had the old clown makeup. This basically all going back to her Kana days. The crowd popped massively for that. And I gotta be honest, this was one of the best Asuka moments we have seen in a long time. It felt a lot like the Asuka of old, what we used to see, that killer Asuka in NXT, and her performance in this match was tremendous as well. Now, we did get Becky Lynch eliminating Dakota Kai and Io Sky, only then to be eliminated by Bayley afterwards, and then shockingly, Bayley is eliminated by Liv Morgan. So this is the point where I started realizing, like, wow, they've been giving Liv Morgan some shine. She's still in it. She's still hanging in there. Also, for my fellow anime and video game fans out there was even a cool spot where Zelina Vega came out as Juri Han from Street Fighter. I can totally appreciate it because just like last year when she was Mamoru Uchiha, it's always great to see Zelina Vega bringing cosplay of anime characters and video game characters to the WWE. And there was even a cool Street Fighter reference when she eliminated Xia Li when they were both on the apron, so that was awesome. And hey, even the commentary was awesome as well, picking up on the Street Fighter references. Now, one of the surprise entrants we did have in the Women's Royal Rumble match, and well, left me surprised, was Chelsea Green. It was great to see her running down the aisle knowing that, man, she's gonna go ahead and get her moment. After all the time she's been back and forth, getting in and out of WWE, she gets in that ring and is quickly eliminated in 5 seconds. And I'm like, really? Really? Someone who has the talent of Chelsea Green we can't even find 5 seconds for her? I was like, wow, I don't know where this is going, but I would assume that Triple H would have wanted to bring Chelsea Green in and showcase her more in this Rumble as a first impression, given that I think she was only in her first main roster match for a short time before I think it was some sort of leg injury or a wrist injury, I think it was, and then she was gone. So you think you would want to make a good impression on the casual WWE audience, which is much bigger than the hardcore fans, to showcase that this woman's a deal. You don't want her to run out there and looking like some jabronette, right? And unfortunately, 5 seconds, that's kind of what they did, sadly. So we'll see where this goes. Speaking of surprises, the 25th entrant turned out to be Michelle McCool, and now she was already seen at ringside with her and the Undertaker's daughters, and when they started playing her music, she basically just hops on the barricade, removes her hoodie, revealing she's in ring gear, and she gets in there and has quite a lengthy performance. So it was cool to see Michelle McCool, and once again, not too much focus going on the past stars. A lot of focus was seen as they were focusing on the NXT stars like Roxanne Perez and Indy Hartwell, who ended up being in this match as well. So you're highlighting in this match with the women a lot of the current talent and a lot of the upcoming talent. So that was awesome to see Triple H continue this trend from the men's Royal Rumble. Now for the 30th entrant, it was, well, they ended up playing her music before the 10-second countdown could finish. Nia Jax. That certainly is going to make a lot of people angry on the internet. I was kind of indifferent about it either way. Nia Jax is certainly not the first person on my list. If you wanted to ask me who I would have preferred to see show up as a surprise in the Women's Royal Rumble, but I was okay with it either way. So yeah, Nia Jax did all the cool, strong moves. And also, too, I forgot to mention Piper Niven, and she came out to that name, Piper Niven. So finally, no more Dewdrop. Maybe we'll see her and Nia go at it, and you have like this whole battle of the monsters and stuff. So that would be cool to see. But yeah, these women basically were getting thrown around by Nia Jax, making Nia Jax look like a strong monster. And it was Rhea Ripley who at this point was able to lay Nia Jax out with the riptide. Shout out to the gas tank on Rhea Ripley. This late into the match, having wrestled as long as she has, still having the power to pick up someone like Nia Jax and drop her to the floor. So man, that was really awesome. And all the women ganged up on Nia Jax and threw her out. So now when it comes to the finals of this Royal Rumble match, it's more so one big triple threat match between Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Liv Morgan. Liv and Rhea obviously having been there from the start. Now the final sequence is by far, to me, having seen every single Royal Rumble match in history, I thought this by far was one of the coolest sequences I've seen. So I gotta put it up there as an all-time great Royal Rumble finish. So exactly this is how it goes down. All three women are on the apron fighting. From there, Asuka shoots her miss to Rhea, but Rhea actually ducks and the miss ends up blinding Liv Morgan. And I like, once again, this nice attention to detail, because if you remember in the Survivor Series War Games match, that's what actually took Rhea out. It was Asuka shooting the miss in her face. And Rhea this time is like, nah, I'm not falling for the same trick twice. Now from there, Rhea Ripley eliminates Asuka with this really smooth maneuver. It's kind of like she does a 619 from outside the ring apron into the ring, and basically is able to get her leg out in front of Asuka's thigh and kicks Asuka in the thigh. And this basically causes Asuka to end up losing her balance and lean forward, landing to the outside mat, which also marks the first time Asuka's ever been eliminated in the Royal Rumble, because of course she won the inaugural Royal Rumble for the women back in 2018, and then from 2019, 2020, and 2021 she was involved in the world title matches, and I think she was out with an injury in 2022. So that was really cool. And from here, Rhea tries to go over to Liv Morgan to finish her off, but Liv Morgan hits her with basically that code breaker type of finisher that she does, and this causes Rhea to stumble back, and she ends up slipping off the apron, but just in time ends up grabbing the ring ropes, and she's hanging on for dear life. Now, actually, I was telling my friends this at the time, because Rhea did that 619 maneuver and ended up going outside through the middle ropes, even if she dropped to her feet, it wouldn't have counted, but they were treating it like it was basically she was going to get eliminated. So Liv Morgan, working on instinct, who's blind is just basically bashing all at Rhea's hands, trying to get her off. And in an amazing display of core strength, Rhea Ripley takes her legs and completely grabs up and catches Liv Morgan by the neck and then slams her off the apron to the mat below, winning the Women's Royal Rumble. And I like this because I have mentioned that it is consistent in my previous Royal Rumble reviews that if you've noticed, Rhea Ripley has either always made it to the final 3 or 4, or at least somewhere close to the end when it comes to these Women's Royal Rumble matches. So it's only fitting that Rhea finally won one, because if she can make it that close all these years later, you keep working hard. That's relatable in life. Keep working hard at something and eventually you get there. And that was awesome. And I definitely felt Rhea Ripley was the right one to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Her character work over the past year as part of the Judgment Day has been phenomenal. And hopefully this leads to Rhea versus Bianca at WrestleMania 39 for the Raw Women's Championship, because both these women came up to NXT as part of that new generation after the 4 Horsewomen. And I think they can definitely be the next women to help lead the WWE main roster women into the future. So excellent match. Once again, love both the men and women's Royal Rumble matches and love that they both highlighted the current talent.
Well, it looks like that match between Bianca and Rhea Ripley won't be happening at WrestleMania 39, as tonight on Monday Night Raw, Rhea revealed that she challenges Charlotte Flair to a rematch for WrestleMania 36. Well, I hope this is finally where Charlotte Flair will lose to Rhea Ripley, but everything that I stated about Bianca and Rhea eventually having a showdown still stands.
And now, the main event for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. So this is the trilogy of their Royal Rumble series. And the match, for the most part, basically, well, first let me mention that the build-up to the match has been incredible. But the match itself kind of started off a little slow and then started picking up as we went along the way. There was some really good back and forth action you got between both guys, some really sickening spots, like Roman Reigns kept slamming Kevin Owens back first into the edge of the ring steps, and it looked like it came really close to Kevin Owens' head, so it was a very, very risky spot to do. But overall, there was a lot of great moments, great story building moments, such as when the referee got knocked down, Roman Reigns is telling Sami Zayn, you need to get in this ring, hand me a chair, and Sami is just looking conflicted because he's not trying to go there and he takes too long, and Kevin Owens ends up capitalizing, even with a stunner, and the near falls that they had was really good, very well done. There were some near falls that had me go like, oh, that looked pretty close. So Roman's gotten really good at kicking out at 99.99% of 100 near before the referee's hand comes down at 3. So that was really awesome to see. But yeah, in the end, Roman Reigns needs to nail everything from every Superman punch, multiple spears to put Kevin Owens down. And he finally does at the end after slapping him around. 1, 2, 3, one last spear, and Kevin Owens is finally defeated. So they definitely made Kevin Owens look good in terms of defeat. But the biggest thing that this entire show is going to be remembered is for the post-match angle. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was fantastic storytelling at its best in WWE. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it's called a lei, which is that decorative flower necklace that you often see Roman Reigns winning. You have, I believe it was Jey Uso was going to go ahead and put that on Sami Zayn, but Roman's like, nah, we're not done yet. And he goes ahead and proceeds to beat down Kevin Owens some more, and eventually has Paul Heyman take out some handcuffs, and they handcuff Kevin Owens with both arms like this to the ring steps. And it's from there that basically they just do a super kick party, like the Young Bucks say. Basically, Jimmy and Jay just go to town on Kevin Owens repeatedly, and the audience is booing and chanting for Sami, Sami, Sami. And it's from there that Roman decides he's going to finish off Kevin Owens, just yelling at him, basically telling him that, you disrespect his family and that Sami, he's no longer, for Kevin Owens and stuff like that. And he goes for a chair shot. And this is where Sami gets involved and says, this is not needed. You're beneath this. And Roman's like, I agree. You should do it. And he hands the chair over to Sami. And Sami's like, I don't want to do this. And Roman Reigns starts yelling, getting all in Sami's face, telling him, you need to do it. Do it now. Prove your loyalty to the bloodline. And he starts even, just yelling and cussing at him, saying, do you want to go back to doing that jackass S-bomb? Oh, man, this was fantastic. And I'm glad they didn't have the commentator speak. They let the story just speak for itself. And so basically from there, you start to see where Roman turns his back. And Sami Zayn is like, I'm going to probably do it. And he's like, no, I'm not. And at the end, Roman's like, do it now. And from here, Sami whacks Roman Reigns in the back of the chair, just like Seth Rollins did nearly 9 years ago. You think the Roman Reigns character at this point really needs to start watching his back when he has somebody with a chair behind him. And from there, you see Jey Uso, who always did the whole cool handshake with Sami. He is livid, and he starts basically attacking Sami and beating him up. And you have Solo going ahead and doing the Samoan spike, and he even did that move that took out Riddle too earlier to Kevin Owens. And this is where Roman gets back up, recovered from the chair shot, and he just goes to town on Sami Zayn, viciously beating him down. This is about as vicious of a beatdown you'll see given WWE's no blood policy, because this is certainly a storyline that could have helped with some added color. And what's interesting, and this is where the big twist comes in, because I knew Sami was going to get turned on, but I did not expect Jey Uso to walk out from his family because he had got that emotionally connected to Sami Zayn. Me and my friends were like, oh, like that was a very welcome twist to this storyline. And even Roman's like, you just gonna walk out on the family? And Jey Uso's like, he said, I'm your brother. He ain't like a brother to you, I'm your brother. And I was like, man, this was fantastic storytelling here. And the beatdown pursued with everyone but Jey Uso, who looked like he was ready to break down and cry as he walked off, and the audience was cheering for him. And this is how the show ends. You get the fans chanting F you Roman chants uncensored, and it's a beautiful thing because Roman Reigns is getting booed as a heel for the right reasons. Not because they want to reject the character, but rather they got emotionally invested into the story and legitimately feel bad for Sami and are letting Roman Reigns verbally have it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is storytelling. That is the reason why I watch pro wrestling, because when you have those characters, you have those great storylines, you get magic like what we got at the end of this main event. And now all things are pointing towards, it looks like Sami and KO are both gonna end up teaming up to get those tag titles. Jey Uso might end up joining Jimmy, but I'm willing to see, I can't wait to actually see where this story goes. This was just fantastic storytelling, one of the best we've ever seen in WWE. And I've been watching WWE since 1994, and anyone who's watched it longer has seen some great storylines even before that. This was great. Cannot say enough good things about it and how they concluded this Royal Rumble. And once again, if you notice, we were probably expecting maybe a run-in from The Rock. There was no Rock. This focused on the current talent, and that is how it's done. Compelling storylines that put the current talent on display for the WWE, and that is exactly what I enjoyed. And if you like to see my ranking of these matches from lowest to high, go ahead and click my ranking every Royal Rumble match right there on the screen or in the pinned comment / description below.